So here we are, the moment I've been excited and slightly nervous about. It's time to open up my Steam Deck and double my internal storage. Now, I have educated myself a bit, and I will have help standing near in case I happen to need it. But I want to show you all that this should be easy enough for anyone to do. Oh, and one more thing. I do want to mention that I made sure I was prepared with steamOS image on a USB drive for the reinstallation of steamOS on my Steam Deck. That is a super important step that should not be forgotten. So, let's do this. So the first steps should always be to power off the Steam Deck and then remove the SD card. I removed all of the screws on the back side of the Steam Deck and placed each of them on a small magnetized mat, trying to keep them in the same positions on the mat as they were in the Steam Deck. Not all of the screws are the same size, and this was really helpful when I had to put them back in. Now it's time to pry the Steam Deck apart. You think this would be easy, right? No, this was actually the hardest step of the whole process. And I think a lot of that is because of the fear of putting pressure on a Steam Deck. So my friend James brought his iFixit kit over, and I ended up using a couple of the plastic prying tools out of that kit to do this. Now, do not use metal. As I mentioned, this is the hardest step, and I honestly thought that we may give up. But after a firmer hand wedging the prying tools in, it gave way and clicked apart slightly. Just look at this. Isn't it beautiful? Now, this is the condensed version because it did take some time to get it to snap open initially. Now it's time to remove more screws again. Once the next to last screw was removed, we were all excited.
Ooh, maybe.
There was a piece of metal tape that is placed over the top of the last screw. Do not pull it all the way off. I gently pried this off with my fingernails, trying to keep it intact, which it did kind of rip, but the part that covers the screw was still intact, so I was good there. So now it's time to remove the metal plate so I can get to the internal storage. Now I just need to disconnect the battery, and actually this part is super easy. I pulled on the ribbon and used the plastic prying tool as an added pressure to push it while I also pulled. And there is a slight click when it comes out. So it was important to press the power button for a few seconds to discharge whatever static charge may have been left. I removed one last screw next to the storage and pulled the NVMe out. And then was ready to install my new 128 gig NVMe SSD. But wait, if only it were that easy. My NVMe was actually a bit bulkier than the original, and I had to snip and pull the shield apart so I could cover my NVMe with it. And that worked great, as you can see. I had no issues at all with that. So I placed my SSD back in the slot and made sure I screwed that back in, and we were pretty happy about it.
Oh my gosh!
This was actually really satisfying. So next I needed to plug the battery back in, and I did that using the plastic pry tool to help secure it back into place. Then I placed the metal plate back on, securing it with only one screw because I did not want to have to redo this all again if the Steam Deck didn't power up. thankfully, as you can see, it did. I, of course, had to make sure that the Steam Deck did recognize and show that the storage had actually doubled. Now, at this point, I powered it back off and proceeded to put it all back together, making sure that I did recover that screw with the metallic tape. For the back cover, just placing it over top and snapping it back on worked great. Again, it felt like this was going to break, but I had to apply pressure to get it to snap. If you don't hear the snap, then it's probably not locked together.
Keep going. Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna break it.
You have to, yeah,
Whoa.
like that.
And I wasn't the only one who could not stand that sound.
Really crushing. Oh, I just hate that sound.
Now, at this point, to finish putting it all back together, all I had to do was put the screws back in. Now, I'm ready to reinstall steamOS on the Steam Deck, so I connected my USB drive to my Steam Deck. I held down the volume down, and then I held the power button until I heard a beep. I let go of the power button while still holding the down button until the menu came up. I selected load from the USB device using the right trigger and selected Reimage Steam Deck and watched it do its thing. When reimaging was complete, I hit proceed and disconnected the USB device. At this point, it looked like everything was working great, and I was pretty relieved about that.
I'm the tech genius.
All I had to do after that was the basic setup, which I'm not going to bore you guys all with that here. So that was a pretty easy process, and the hardest part was prying the Steam Deck open. And that was partially due to fear. It's much stronger than I think we all realize. My supervising crew was really helpful, and I'm very thankful that they were there. We did have some laughs, and we had some cringing moments as well. But that being said, having done it now, I think that I could do this all by myself with no help and do it properly. And that was pretty much the goal I had. Aside from actually doubling my storage, I did want to show that anyone could probably do this. I am by no means a professional at this type of thing, and if I can do it, I think you all certainly can. There are videos out there with detailed instructions on how to actually do this, and I did watch some of those videos before even attempting this. Plus, I did have supervision. So if you are thinking about doing this, please educate yourself so you don't hurt your poor little Steam Deck. I will link a couple of those videos in the description below to make it easier for you to find. But it's always best to know what to expect before you engage in something like this. That is all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to share this with your friend, and as always, have a Steam-tastic day.